Arsenal 3, Sunderland 0, Chelsea 3, Wolves 1. That threw me for a minute there. Two big wins for the London clubs today as Chelsea close that gap on Manchester United in fourth and apply big pressure to Liverpool tomorrow. Both Chelsea and Manchester United close that gap on Aston Villa as they drop big points today with a draw. Just one win in their last 5. 4 points behind Villa are Chelsea. 3 points behind Villa and Manchester United. City could be dragged into that as well. But Arsenal go 9 points clear at the top of the EPL. Gyokeres from the bench with a brace. Zubomendi with a thunderbolt to give Arsenal the lead. Some nerves in this game, but I think they demonstrate a huge growth in this side. Do me a big favor, please. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button right now. Just get it done. Like the stream. Get this shared across your social media platforms for us too. We've got callers coming on the show from Anton, Ash. We've got Andrew Barnes, Dio, Trimless, Giuseppe joining us. Oh, well done, England. Just got another try. Well done, England. On top of that, we've got the panel coming for you later with Mo, Winter Surfer, Seb, Andy, Gal joining us. So we've got a really big show for you as none of the top 6 play in the 5:30 game. But I really enjoyed both those matches. Both those games had something. They were different from one another, but I enjoyed them. There was a lot going on in there. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to go through today. Can't wait to read your comments as well. I love this. Open goal FC. Is that the new agenda? Yeah, it's not set pieces now. It's open. Is that 3 goals from open play as well today? Is that 3 from open play? That'll be an interesting stat for Arsenal if it's 3 goals from open play. Just based on the fact, where would that put them? Where would that put them? If you look at teams open play goals, Man United have gone up to 3rd on 27 today, but Arsenal, if they've got 3 from open play, Arsenal would also go to 27 goals from open play, which puts them second most open play goals in the league. And people were trying to bullshit. They were 17th a few weeks ago. It's a mad old world, isn't it? It's a mad old world that we're talking about here. But look, I'm going to start with the champions-elect in Arsenal. I think it's the right place to start today due to the big game that is going on tomorrow. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to go into more detail, but remember to like, share, subscribe. Got your super chats to come today on the show as well. But I want to start with today because, how do I word this in the right way? Arsenal have shown so much growth as a team, as a club. And when I say club, I'm talking the manager, the ownership, and even more importantly, the fans. When I speak about the growth for Arsenal, I am referring to the way they handled today. Sunderland came, and I had this feeling in the build-up to the game that we would see a little bit of a stinky performance from Sunderland. A team not trying to attack, a team looking to stifle Arsenal. The vast majority of teams go to the Emirates and don't want to win. They want to avoid being beaten up. They want to avoid being smashed. They play in a cowardly way. Very few teams have operated differently this season. Man United are one where we had a plan to attack. Today, Sunderland turned up and said, we're not going to sit him. We're not going to be stinky. We're not going to not make it easy for Arsenal, because sitting deep against them is hard for any team in the world to break down 11 men behind the ball. But they're going to make it hard by being a threat, being a thorn in their side. And they had 50% of the ball at the Emirates. In the last 10 minutes of the first half, they had 69% of the ball, but they were attacking with it. It wasn't pointless possession in their own half, just knocking the ball around, no threat. They were trying to score. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate Sunderland. The problem that you see is that they actually tried to win. They actually tried to play. And today we saw Arsenal score 3 goals. Could have been more. 3 goals from open play. The media won't talk about this because they like to lie to us football fans. But that now puts Arsenal on 27 goals from open play. That puts them into 2nd place in the league. Only 4 open play goals behind Man City. But of course, vastly more when it comes to set pieces, which are a very, very important component of scoring goals. Teams open up, Arsenal score from open play. And I'm not saying Sunderland today were completely wide open and it was easy for Arsenal. They actually made it very hard. They tracked back and got in position, back into position well. They were hard to break down. And when I speak of Arsenal's growth, this was a game last season, Arsenal don't win. This was a game for the past 2 or 3 years against a side that's landing a few blows on their chin that I think this Arsenal team under Mikel Arteta would have dropped points to. I really do believe that. And there were times today where you could hear the crowd becoming a bit nervous, but I was watching players out there like Gabriel, like Declan Rice, like Victor Gyokeres, who came on from the bench, like Zubomendi. They just grabbed the ball by the horns, the game by the scruff of the neck, and you can come up with another saying that connects to it. And they said, I am. And they took the game to Sunderland and got the job done. Now, I wouldn't call it a kind of stinky Champions win where they were by far the second best team and they scraped and grinded out a result. But Arsenal did have to grind that out. They had to play through adversity. And that, for me, was exciting to watch as a spectacle. Can they do it? Will they hold their nerve? When they get the chances, are they going to take them? Will the defensive line and goalkeeper make a mistake? I actually think Raya made a few mistakes today, which he got covered for, but will they make mistakes that cost them? And Arsenal got it done. They can now put their feet up, watch Liverpool versus Man City. Worst case scenario, City win, and you where you were. You where you were, but you're one game nearer to being champions of England. If Liverpool go and win, that is a 9-point gap at the top of the English Premier League. Aston Villa, as we know, didn't win again today. They didn't win again, which is why when Arsenal had those 3 games without a victory, for me, I was turning around to a lot of people, Arsenal fans, and saying, don't lose your minds. Because in that same period of time, the last 5 games, Villa have had a worse run. City are having a worse run. As bad as you were for a couple of them games, and as poor as the results were in some of those games, you've come out of that 4 or 5 game period with more points than your title rivals. And sometimes it isn't always about, in a title race, it isn't just about looking at yourself. You've got to look at what's around you. What can you afford to do? What can't you afford to do? And I think Arsenal have navigated it very, very well. So there is a guarantee of 9 points over Aston Villa now, which is a fairly sizable gap. And if Liverpool win tomorrow, it's 9 points over Manchester City as well. And I think the way Arsenal approach this game, the mental strength they demonstrated is huge proof that you, if you're an Arsenal fan watching, have grown. Now, on top of that, and I think really importantly, is I want to speak about a couple of their players. There's loads of Arsenal players over the course of this season that you can praise and talk about. But if we're isolating it to today's game, I want to start with Martin Zubomendi. I want to speak on Zubomendi because, yes, against Manchester United, he made a mistake. Yes, against Manchester United, he didn't have a great moment. And what I saw was a onslaught from a certain percentage of very ungrateful, very undignified Arsenal fans killing him. Rivals, of course, are going to go in and banter him. I, as a United fan, laughed and, I'm glad we beat you. But that won't ever impact my football analysis because I believe in speaking honestly. Zubomendi has been by far one of the best signings of the season at any club, and he's one of Arsenal's best signings in the last 20 years. That is how good a player he is. Now, aside from the goal, his overall play today was just majestic and cultured. But the goal was decisive. And earlier on this season, we did a live match reaction for one of the first games of the campaign. And our good friend Ash, who comes on our shows, who's a Newcastle fan, said you can't read too much into the goals from Zubomendi because he's not a regular goal scorer. And because he's not a regular goal scorer, I don't think Arsenal fans should celebrate it too much. To be honest, one of the most warped, strange, agenda-fueled opinions I've ever heard. But I listened to it through. What is that now? 5, 6 goals for Zubomendi? It's almost as if the football gods heard that comment and said, okay, hold my beer. But the goal from Zubomendi was amazing. One, the pressure was starting to build because Sunderland were making it difficult. And in those periods of a game, what do you need? What do you need? Moments of brilliance. As football fans, we must advocate for more. As football fans, we must push for more moments of brilliance, and you saw him do it. The way he cuts across the ball, the way he strikes it with the outside of his foot, the swaz and the swerve on that strike was imperious. Hits the post, and I always think a goal looks better when it hits a post or a crossbar and goes in. There's something extra special about it. And that, for me, was the moment that everyone in that stadium, every player, the manager, and more importantly, the fans went, the pressure was relieved. And I felt the second half Arsenal at times were in cruise control, but had the game exactly where they wanted it. Exactly where they wanted it. Only 2 shots in the whole second half, barely any XG for Sunderland. And Arsenal, again, it was hard for them because Sunderland then, they weren't as expansive. They didn't want to open up as much. But Arsenal, a really brilliant substitution was made. Around the 60th minute of the game, Gabriel Jesus comes off and Victor Gyokeres comes in. Now, Gyokeres, in his last 5-6 games for Arsenal, started to score goals, semi-final goals against Chelsea, goals in the Champions League, including the stunner against Inter Milan. And I believe Gyokeres right here, right now, has just had his very best moment and most important moment in an Arsenal shirt. At 1-0, if you had gone into those last 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the game, you know exactly what Sunderland are going to do. It's going to be throw the kitchen sink at it. The crowd might become nervous. Who knows what can happen? Ball ricochets off somebody's backside, falls to a Sunderland player 1-1, and an opportunity wasted to go 9 points clear. Victor Gyokeres comes in and scored today to what I would consider to be poachers' goals. Number 9's goals. Goals that I think we all expected him to score more of and sooner in the season, but rarely had the opportunities created for him. The first I loved because there was a little bit of a slip from the player, which happens on these wet, wintry days, but he improvised, gets his foot to the ball and buries it into the bottom corner. And the third was a bit of a cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake, completely killed the game off, helps him with his goal bonuses, but more importantly, builds that confidence. A great counter-attacking goal. Martinelli squares it to him. He puts it away. And then in terms of pressure being relieved, you start to look at Victor Gyokeres. You start to look at the amount of goals that he has now scored. And again, you'll get people that will say, well, he's not scoring at the same rate as Haaland when he arrived. Well, nobody ever really has done that. But I think that's 8 goals now in the Premier League. So that moves him into he must be somewhere near the top 10 Premier League goal scorers, unless I'm mistaken. I'm actually going to check that whilst I'm saying this. Well, he's not quite in the top 10 because he's just gone to 8, but Coupe and Welbeck and Enzo Fernandez are on 8 goals. So he's joint with them. He's not going to catch Erling Haaland this year, but there's a chance of catching Thiago. There's a chance of catching, Hugo Ekitike has had a lot of praise this season, and rightfully so, for being a brilliant signing. He's got 10 goals. Gyokeres has 8. He's starting to find his feet. 4 in the Champions League as well in 5 starts. 1 in the League Cup. Only started 2 games in that so far. And he's starting to find his feet in English football. And I'm not, again, going to say he's a complete and utter hit and that there isn't more for Victor Gyokeres to improve on. But only a few short weeks ago, I sat on one of my biggest podcasts of the week with Staffy and with Don, and they just kept on pushing and pushing. Terry, you've got to say he's a flop. You've got to say he's a flop. He ain't it. And as I said, that at the time, there's loads for him to improve on. But I wasn't ready to say he was an absolute shocking signing, that he was an absolute waste, because I believe there was a player in there that could score big and important goals for Arsenal. And that's exactly what he is doing at this point. That's exactly what he's now started to do. Has it got to continue? Absolutely. Is it enough to just have a purple patch? No. But credit where credit is due to Gyokeres with the goals today. But more importantly, I want to say a big well done to Mikel Arteta for making that substitution, for that change when he made it, because it was perfect. And had he not done it, there, or had he made a different substitution, it hadn't worked. He would have been criticised for it. But it was absolutely brilliant from him today. But overall, a fantastic win for Arsenal. 9 points clear at the top of the league. You can join myself as a United fan now for the rest of the day and the weekend. Feet up. Can enjoy the rest of the games, whatever happens, because you got your business done. But Arsenal, let's see what happens tomorrow. But if Liverpool do beat City, they're the clear favourites from here. Like, share, and subscribe, please, people. Get that done. Can't wait to read your comments. Massive win for the Gunners. We're going to be talking Chelsea on the show as well today. And I just want to say very quickly when it comes to Chelsea, I thought they were very professional today. We're going to be taking calls on Chelsea very soon. I really liked how Chelsea played today. 3 goals very early. By the way, I've seen people moaning about the penalties they got. Stone fucking wallers. Stone wallers. The one that you can question isn't whether it's a foul, it's why are they not given more often? And that was the push in the back on João Pedro. Because you sometimes see players get pushed in the back and nothing's given, but they should be. But both Stonewall penalties, very well executed by Palmer. Palmer with an amazing third goal. The finish was fantastic. That's his third first-half hat-trick since being a Chelsea player. And then it was just comfortable. Then it was just so comfortable for Chelsea from that point. Yes, Wolves got a consolation goal back. Yes, Wolves had a fair amount of the ball in the second half. I'm not too sure exactly how much. It felt like more than 33%. But they had their moments and opportunities. Chelsea didn't really create many goal-scoring opportunities, but they didn't need to. For me, they're in cruise control. They've been playing midweek games nearly all season. I think there's barely been a midweek where Chelsea haven't played. So it's the right thing for them to do, by the way, at 3-0 up, to take the foot off the gas. They have no obligation to score 5, 6, 7 goals and keep playing at a very high intensity. I thought what Chelsea did today was great. And a nice reaction for them after the midweek disappointment. Go out there, get the win, get it over the line, and move on. And that's the most important thing for them to do. I was very happy for Palmer, though. Above and beyond everything else, I was very, very happy for Palmer. He's had a lot of injuries in the last year, and he's had a lot of criticism. And I think some of it has been justified. But again, you see the agenda merchants come out and start pushing the agendas. Oh, I never rated him. He's never been that good. And I felt it was going too far. So I was very happy that he picked up his hat-trick today, got another 60, 70 minutes under his belt. Because as an England fan, I'm going to be honest with you, he is going to be very, very, very much needed as we go into the summer. When it comes to the World Cup, we need him as part of this squad. So I was very, very glad for him indeed. I'm going to jump to some super chats. Calls are going to start soon on the show, people. We've got calls and a panel for you today. Let me just timestamp when we're doing this here, so people can come back and see them. Terry, stop me. I'm begging you to believe. I don't know what that means, bruv. Zooby-dooby-doo, Sunderland played well. You're right, Kenny. Sunderland did play well. You're not far wrong, my friend. They did play well today. A team is so different without Odegaard. He never makes them runs Havertz did for the Gyokeres goal. Yeah, he doesn't, because Kai Havertz is more of a striker, so he's going to make a different run and different approach. And that's the important element of having a squad. That being said, would you be this good? Would you be this high in the league this season without some other really good performances from Odegaard? I don't know. And I feel, do you, it's your club. But I think you should just be happy today. Arsenal was so strong. Victory, Gyokeres. Yeah, Arsenal were very strong. People don't like to hear it, but it's the cast iron truth. Hit the like chat. Come on, you gooners. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for encouraging everybody to hit the like button for us today. Just skip the BS to the end. Start calling us winners FC. For me, I'm still have you right at this second as the marginal favourites. If City lose tomorrow, you're the clear favourites. Some of you have been saying clear favourites since the start of the season. That's entirely up to you. I believe in what I'm saying, but I am also playing caution to the football gods. I wonder what the agenda will be now. Maybe haters will say it's just Sunderland. Honestly, enjoy how direct we were. Yeah, you moved the ball very quickly towards the goal today. It was a different Arsenal approach than normal. It wasn't lots of possession, pinning them back. There was an element of directness to it, but that was also helped by Sunderland actually attacking. But I find it interesting that I bet when the stats come out and you look at Sunderland's average line of their defense versus everyone else that's gone there this year, I bet barring Man United, it's the lowest or the highest. And yet then there's 3. I bet it isn't so high that it isn't out of the average of all the other teams. And then Arsenal score 3 open play goals. Who knew? By the way, all football fans know this. They just don't want to admit it because it means they have to praise Arsenal, and that hurts their very, very tender feelings. Is that 3 open play goals? I think so. They'll probably put one in the counter attack. I suppose the third goal you could argue is counter attack, isn't it? Because it's from a corner. But it's weird because I've seen some goals that I would call counter attack this year go in the open play column. But essentially, they won't go down the set pieces. So glad Big Vic finally clicked. Big up Kai Havertz. Come on, you gooners. Zubi. 1 goal in every 5 Premier League games. Wow. It's very good for a DM. Very good numbers for a DM. I'm so impressed by Zubomendi winning so many headers in midfield. I didn't know he was capable of doing that. For me, definitely one of the best midfielders. Yeah, I think he's been excellent for Arsenal. I think overall he's been excellent. He's been an excellent signing so far. Yes, there's been some mistakes, but he's great. Raya could get 3 golden gloves in a row. He could. I mean, he was probably the only Arsenal player today that I watched. Well, fucking hell, he got lucky a few times where he rushed out of his box. A few crosses he kind of thumballed. But yeah, it looks like a shoe-in now to go on and get that golden glove. What is the difference in the Brobby tackle on Zubomendi and Romero tackle? I'm so glad somebody brought this up, actually. Now, let me just preface this by saying I think they should all be reds, just so my personal opinion is out the way. But it was glancing. If you actually watch it, it touches his shin and comes straight off. Just so the chat and me, I want to make sure on this even kill. Would you all agree he catches his shin with the studs, but his foot comes almost straight off? So would like to see in the chat that you are agreeing that we're visually all seeing that the same. If you touch and it comes straight off and there's no follow through, the PGMOL have been very consistent in saying that's considered glancing and it's not a red card. So it's one of those situations where there's 2 ways to assess it. That's 4, Terry, but 2 ways to assess it. 1, do you think it should or shouldn't be a red card based on how you want to see the law of the game, where I think they should all be reds? Because I think if you kind of create this narrative in play, the reason they made those kind of tackles red cards in general is they're dangerous. But if they just about pull the foot away, is it dangerous? I still think so. However, were the PGMOL today consistent with their messaging? Yes. So for that, I have to praise them. So there is 1, I think they should change the law versus did they enact the law correctly? The reason that Brobby didn't get sent off is the exact same reason the Low didn't get sent off against Man City, because it touches and comes straight away. It grazes. It isn't, to be fair with you, you're never going to break someone's leg. You're never going to seriously injure them, touching them and pulling away. It's going to hurt, which is why it's a yellow card. Romero's tackle today, all the weight and force goes through Casemiro's ankle. There is a fundamental difference in those. There isn't a difference in terms of where the studs being up, the part of the body they connect with, but there is a fundamental difference in the force, because if you just touch someone and pull away, the force isn't there. It's a bit like, you ever play full with someone and you like throw a punch and you put it back right at the end and there's no power in it? It's a little bit like that. I don't like it. I think they should all be red cards, if I'm being honest with you. Well, someone challenged me though the other day and said, Terry, you're wrong though, because if my player makes a tackle and pulls his leg out at the end and only makes very light contact, why should that be a red card? And I thought that does make a lot of sense. But there is a consistency. There is a consistency in there that I'm happy they're following. We'll be honest, I panicked after the United results, but you were right. Remain calm and get behind them. Great result. Come on, you Gooners. Now can hope for Liverpool to win. Never thought I'd say that. Listen, every year you always end up... I don't remember a football season where I didn't want a club I hate to win a game. But look, I say this. If you... Generally in my life, if I need some advice on something, as long as I often go to people that are not in that scenario or circumstance, but I've got to trust them. So if I've got a problem with one of my kids, I won't go to another parent often. I'll go to someone who's a non-parent who I trust and who is sensible. But what do you think I should do? Because often you get a non-emotional answer. A lot of the time, a parent will give you an answer that's based on how they feel about their kid or how they would parent, as opposed to somebody giving a really stern, honest, neutral opinion. And I hope that's what many of you get from me. Even if you disagree with it, you know it's coming from a place which is just my honesty. And I did say after the United defeat, you all had to calm down. I didn't think, and most of you did. Most of you, listen, Brandon's backstage. Brandon was saying if we win the league, it's only because everybody else is crap. That's the mindset that was coming out. There were some gooners who wanted to burn down the Emirates. There are some that would have most certainly, wanted Mikel Arteta sacked that night, right? If that became the consensus view, you wouldn't have recovered. Well done to the Arsenal fans who maybe had a moan on the night, which is fair, but calmed down and very quickly got back behind their team. Don't be gaslit by the Arteta outers, who, by the way, if you win the league, will say that their high standards of the last 5 years are the reason you're winning it. Who then, once it's won, will then start moving goalposts saying it's great, but if he doesn't retain it, it's great, but X, Y, and Z, the goalposts will get moved. You guys who have been behind your team and been supportive, you are the biggest reason, if you're looking at fan base, towards getting the success you're getting. So well done to you. Well done to everyone who stood by their team and carried on supporting them, because it's very hard in adversity to support. Remember that. It's very easy to go ham, slag your club off. It's like a safety blanket, a comfort blanket or a safety net. You can attack your own team and everyone kind of leaves you alone because you're attacking them. What's really hard to do is to be critical, but then back your team during adversity. It's very hard. It's very, very hard, because if you attack your club and then win the league, you can go to the parade and the party and everybody goes, "Way, we're winners." If you back your team and you don't win, you get absolutely crucified forever about it. It's the harder thing to do. Supporting your football club in 2026 is harder than throwing it under a bus every 5 minutes. So well done. Well done to everyone, not just Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans who are supportive of their club, Man United fans who are supportive of their club. I'm not saying you can't criticize or shouldn't criticize, but that's the difference between that and absolutely scorching earth. So well done, you. Arsenal, the worst team ever to beat the Maccas. Okay, I'm delusional, but the quad feels actually possible. By the way, if you guys really are on for a quad, I will become a hater. I just need to let you know, because that surpasses. I will. Let's say you win the Prem, the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the Prem, and you're in that Champions League final. You do not know how much I'm going to want you not to win it, because you guys doing the quad is a madness. But I'll still be fair in my analysis. You know what I'm saying? But Victor Gyokeres 14 showing what he can do when you pass to him. Like and sub. This channel is clear of the mainstream media BS. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that compliment there, my friend. That means a great, great deal to me. It truly does. Right, we're going to start going to the callers now. We're speaking to Chelsea fans. We're speaking to Arsenal fans on the show, getting their views and opinions. Panel coming a little later as well. First caller I'm going to go to is going to be a Chelsea fan. It's going to be Andrew Barnes, who I'm getting on the show. Let me just timestamp all of this. Andrew's here with me now. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. Andrew, big win for you guys. You had to respond. First half hat-trick from Palmer. Talk to me.
I'm very happy about this game, Terry. Like you said, it was a very professional effort. I'm like, yeah, the first penalty helped us a lot, so we didn't have to, really try so hard because like you said, we've played many games in between, especially midweek. And yeah, Palmer did it again. His 100th appearance for the club. He scored his 50th goal for the club, and then he scored another first half hat-trick. So I'm very happy. Again, I know in the comments they're going to go about okay, two of them are penalties. They're still goals. Penalties, corners, headers, bicycle, they're all goals. Everything is a goal. Even own goal is a goal. So for me, I'm happy that Palmer's done this. I'm happy that Chelsea have gotten the 3 points. I think, like you said, we needed this. We needed this lift, especially after the game against Arsenal. And yeah, we are there. They were in the fight for like top four. I think that we will continue to push forward. Rosinia has won 4 games in a row, like Premier League games in a row. I think that's something that is another positive to take. The only thing I was worried about, and I still don't know why James didn't start. So I don't know if he's injured or like what, because this is something that we were proud of, that he played so many games consistently. So I still am not aware why he didn't play. So that is something that I'm concerned about. But other than that, this performance was, yeah, it's what we needed to do. We got the job done, and yeah, we move on to the next one. About the penalties, I think the penalties were stonewall. The penalties, I don't think that there's no argument there. And I still, if I have to say one negative thing, I still think Pedro Neto is like, he's not the guy. Like, I don't know if he was trying too much to be the main guy today because he's playing against his old team. There were many opportunities where he could have passed to Palmer or to another player just so that they could score the goal, because he did all the good work. He did, like, battling the defender, going past him, but he just kept making the wrong choice. And for me, this is something that I'm not happy with this guy, and I hope that he, either we move him on, or like, like Rosinia tries to get the better of him in the remainder of the season and probably next season. One thing I want to talk about, Terry. Sorry, one thing I want to talk about Palmer. The guys who, like, you also spoke about this in the beginning, who wrote him off, and I even saw this in the last stream, and like when Aloha, when Husam and all of these guys, they were talking about how he's a one season wonder and all of that. I think Hamza said it. For me, yes, he's not been good. Yes, he's been injured. But even if he doesn't score goals, like Palmer's football intellect is clearly visible. Like, you can see that this guy can read a game. This guy can make that, like, that pass that needs to be made. João Pedro, Palmer, and like, there are few players on that pitch. Enzo Fernandez have this. Even Esteban, they have this intellect. You can see that these guys have the potential to get better and better. Yes, an injury has slowed him down, but I don't think Palmer's a one season wonder, and I will not agree with that.
Mate, I agree with you completely. I think he's been right to criticize some of his poor performances, but the idea of him being a one season wonder, I think, was a huge exaggeration. Listen, bro, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it massively, and we're going to chat again soon. Cheers, bro.
Did I have one question before I go? One question before I go for you. Who's your second favorite team in the Premier League? You must have like a second, like a team that you don't mind, having a good performance. Who's your second favorite team?
Oh, I'm an Arsenal fan. Haven't you heard?
No. I want to know. I want to know from you. No sarcasm. Like, honestly, from you.
On a real level, on a real level, it's probably Wolves, because I worked with them in my previous job. I was very close to them as a club. I like to see Wolves do well, and they're being awful. So, but there isn't. I don't have the second team thing. It's in my. On a real level, yes, I'm a very objective when I review football, but in my house, there was no, can I have a Scottish team? Can I have a German team? Can I have a French team? In my house, you had one team only, and if you veered away from that, my dad would take his slipper off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get if I came home with another club's shirt, I collect football shirts. My dad would have taken a wire brush to my back. Do you know what I mean? It's we're a proper family, mate. But no, I hear you, Andrew. Until next time, bro, take care, mate, and we'll chat again soon. Top man, thank you. Next on the show, thank you, brother. We've got Anton, who's a gooner. What are you saying, Anton?
Very, very, very happy right now. My smile is as big as anything. Well, I got to start off this by giving credit to Sunderland, because they were an absolute pain in the ass to play against today for a good chunk of that game. They came to frustrate us. They were physical. They pressed tremendously well. And, they put Raya under pressure. They put Saliba under pressure. It wasn't an easy performance by any stretch of the imagination from Arsenal. And what an absolute piece of quality, bravery from Martin Zubomendi, who's, I think got about 5 or 6 goals, I think you said already, on the season. So, hold that one, Ash. A lot of people, like I've spoken to, a lot of Gooners have actually had criticism telling me that, Zubomendi's not really been that good. He's not been an upgrade on Thomas Partey. But for me, I don't remember Thomas Partey having moments like that, which could define a Premier League season, that could push us towards winning a title, which, by the way, we haven't done in over 20 years. So that was an absolutely incredible moment. And I think the other thing I want to talk about, obviously, is Victor Gyokeres. I do not want to hear, Terry, for now on to the rest of the year, any more, Victor Gyokeres jokes or, analysis which includes, oh, Victor Gyokeres has been bad. No slander whatsoever, because he's on 13 goals overall in all comps. He scored 2 incredibly important goals today, which could, help us open the gap to a tremendous point where it could be all over for me by the end of the weekend. If Liverpool go out to win, I already had Arsenal as clear favorites already, as you know. If Liverpool beats Manchester City tomorrow, it's a wrap. It is over. I use it like the analogy I would use here is the United States election. Sometimes when they call a state for a certain president, mathematically the votes haven't exactly all been counted, but they go, you know what? No, we're going to call this state for this president, and that's how I feel it will be like for the Premier League if Liverpool were to win tomorrow. I find it. I think people really need to kind of look at this Manchester City team and be like, that would be 6 games out of 7 which they've dropped, and really ask yourself, is that really a team that's a champion team? Is that really champion form? Or let's actually just give credit to this Arsenal team who have been consistent from start to finish. So I am so pumped with where we're at right now. It's looking like we're probably one Manchester City slip up away from really having this thing kind of in the pocket. And is going to move. That's going to put us in good stead moving forward, when we have to try to compete on all fronts. The Champions League games, it's going to make those games easier, being able to deal with those in the middle of the week. That cup final that we're going to have coming up, it's all going to be easier, in my opinion, because there'd be less pressure, I believe, on us week in and week out to maintain something in the Premier League. I mean, again, I'm not saying that, let's not worry about the Premier League and let's, rotate fully, but a 9-point gap is a little bit of a good insurance policy for me, which would tell me that I don't know if City will be able to overturn. Probably, it would need us to drop points 5 times, or like 5 draws or 3 defeats. And even right now, our goal difference is superior. With them having to be perfect from now to the end of the season, I just don't see that happening, Terry. So, yeah, very, very happy overall.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree. I do think that you are right now, from an attacking perspective and a defensive perspective, you're just better than City. And I think when you had that little wobble, 2 draws and a defeat, the narrative was very much, oh, they could be throwing it away. What you didn't hear from anybody is City look ready to capitalize upon this, because they're not. And that should always be part of the conversation. And you bounce back very well from that with your Champions League victories, the League Cup victory, smashing Leeds, and then beating up Sunderland today 3-0. And I think when you look at today's game, there were some nerves towards the end of that first half. And that is when you need players like Zubomendi to step up, who I think overall has had a fantastic season. But the strike from him today was absolutely out of this world. And then you're leading, and then your manager makes, again, brave substitutions. He brings on additional attackers to go and kill these games off. And that's something, Anton, that Arsenal fans have been asking for. What you saw today, it's make attacking substitutions, kill the games off, as opposed to maybe sitting in and being a bit more negative. And Arteta got that right today. Do you feel?
I do feel that. And by the way, I think that the timing of when he brought on those attacking substitutions were important, because at around that time, I actually think Sunderland had more possession than Arsenal. Sunderland just were still being a right old pain in the ass. And I thought they carried a threat, and they were, I think they had more possession than I ever imagined they were to have. But from that moment, I just feel like even with the 1-0 lead, we were a bit nervous. But when Gyokeres comes on, makes an instant impact. For him to score not 1 but 2 was great foresight from Arteta to kind of put a rocket up his backside by dropping him at the start of this game. I mean, I looked at that lineup and I was like, I don't know about Jesus starting in this game. It's a bit too important for me. But he was right, because the the knock-on effect in which that had on Victor Gyokeres and him trying to come on the pitch with something to prove, I think was a stroke of genius a little bit. So yeah, that's how I feel. So yeah, I think the manager got 10 out of 10 today in terms of everything: the starting lineup, the substitutions, the attitude, the adjustments to Sunderland. It was good. Perfect.
No, I hear you. I agree. I think it was a fantastic response. It truly was. Anton, always a pleasure, mate, to sit and speak football. And we'll chat again soon. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Always.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Giuseppe is on with us now. What you saying, brother? Your sound ain't working. Your mic ain't on. Hey, my son. What are we doing? All right, we'll come back. No, try coming back in. I'm going to go to Ash, and then we'll come back to Giuseppe. Ash, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, man, Terry. How are you doing with our team winning today? Did you celebrate?
Mate,
you got 2 wins today.
I got 2, double winner, if that makes sense. It's I did hear a few United fans go, Terry, if they lose, we're only 9 points behind them, we might win the league. I suppose I could think that. I don't think we would. I don't think we can. So it is what it is. But yeah, look, I think it was. I mean, I'm looking at Villa and City. I think we can catch them. But we see what happens. But you guys today, a massive game, an opportunity for you to go 9 points clear, to put that pressure on City, and it feels like you delivered on every level today.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's not a coincidence that we play against 2. Not top teams, but difficult teams in Leeds and Sunderland, who have been doing well, obviously, this season. And we play quite different. We play a lot more attacking. We play a lot more on the front foot. We're actually trying to go for it. We're playing with a lot more speed. It's not a coincidence that we play like that against these 2 teams and we end up slapping both of them. Now, today's result is not maybe a reflection on how Sunderland played, because I actually think they played quite well. As Anton said, they made it quite annoying. When it was 1-0, they had couple opportunities or shots on target. I think up until the 60th minute or something like that, they had more shots on target than us. They had 3 to our 2 shots. So they did make it difficult, but I think our quality and experience showed. I think the fact that we continued trying to go for the second goal and play with that attacking mindset, I think helped, because if we ended up just hanging on to a 1-0 lead and defending deep, I think Sunderland could have got a second goal, because they have players that can get at the end of crosses and score. So, and that's what happened in the first game. So a very, very good performance overall. It's amazing to see that we have, I've always said this, I think we have the best squad in the league and the best squad in Europe, in my opinion, overall. And we're seeing the quality of that squad. Like we're reaping the benefits of that squad when players are coming off the bench and scoring or assisting. Obviously in Martinelli and Gyokeres, very good 2 goals. I know people will say, oh, they're just tap-ins, or the first one he was falling over, but that's exactly the kind of striker mindset you want. The kind of mindset you want in your striker. So fantastic job. I know I've been his biggest critic, and I said I don't think he's good enough for us, and I'm happy to change my mind if he proves me wrong over the long run and continues doing well. Same with Madueke, who I thought had a bad game today, to be honest, but it doesn't matter. Look, I am going to say this, though, because I think it's so easy to sit and complain when your team doesn't do well versus like actually call certain things out when results go your way. I think that refereeing the red card thing is just ridiculous. I think it should have definitely been a red card on Brobby. I disagree with what you were saying, that he hit his leg and it pulled back. I watched it again just to think maybe I missed something, and he actually went full studs on his shin, and then after going on his shin, it slipped after with the force. So for me, that's actually more of a red card than Romero's. I understand why Romero's was given, but Romero won the ball first. It's still a red card, don't get me wrong, because it was still reckless. He still catches him with the studs, but he at least gets a touch on the ball first. This guy doesn't even get a touch on the ball. And I wouldn't say this if we ended up drawing or losing the game, because I would focus more on what we could have done better. But I think now that we have won, I can at least say it, so it doesn't seem like I'm saying it.
You know what? Like, as I say, when I look at it, I'm with you. These should all be red cards, because sometimes it might look like a glancing blow because it slips off the leg, where and you can't kind of help that, which is why it should just be a red card, in my opinion. I do get where you're coming from, but on a consistent level, anytime I've seen one of these tackles where the contact happens and straight away it comes off the leg, we actually had one years ago where Sabitzer did it against Leicester. They don't give them those red cards. I do agree with you. It should be something they look at, because I don't always know if they're in control of that. As you say, I don't always know if it is they're pulling out as an. I get what they're interpreting, but yeah, the more I look at it, again, I think it should be a red card. And you're right. Sometimes it is easy to ignore these things when you win, but it's definitely another one that has to be called out. The same as I called out Delos and said it should be a red card. You know, these things I think we have to be fair on this as football fans when decisions don't go our way. In terms of being 9 points clear, you've had a few opportunities recently to gain an advantage when you've played second and haven't taken them. How good does it feel today to take that advantage and put that pressure on City? Because it's so must win for them now tomorrow. That must be a great feeling for you today.
Yeah, agreed. I think we gave them a couple of lifelines, to be fair. We shouldn't have with the Liverpool, Forest and United results. So it's good to see that we're able to get that momentum back and start increasing our gap again. I do think it'll go to 9 points tomorrow. I actually think Liverpool will dominate City. But I think worst case scenario, it'll end in a draw. And we'll have an 8 points gap, which for me, personally, I know people will be like, oh, don't say that. And it's still Feb. I think the league will be done then. I think if it goes to 8 or 9 points, I think the league is over. I don't see us dropping points in 3 games more than City from here until the end of the season. Obviously, we play them in April. And I think if we... Are you okay? What happened?
Sorry, I'm watching the rugby. England are playing Wales at rugby. Sorry.
Yeah, fair. I thought you were watching the Newcastle Brentford.
No. England rugby's on. Six Nations. Sorry.
I think by the time we play them, if we're 6 points or more ahead, I think they have no chance of winning the league then, because our games after that are quite favorable from what I've seen. But yeah, look, it's I've always said and people laughed at me when I said this earlier, and I'm still going to back my point then. When City played Liverpool, back then at the Etihad, I said I'd rather City win that game than Liverpool, because in my opinion, I think we're better than City. I think City are playing at their best, and this is just the level of their quality. I think eventually, as the players gel more, as some of the players that came in find their feet and settle more with the squad in the league, I think they'll start killing it maybe from next season. But I think this season, City, even at their best, are not good enough to beat us. For me, Liverpool was the team that, if they were at their best, I think they were the real threat, which is why I wanted City to beat Liverpool, get them off the title race, and finish that off. Because I think Liverpool's problem is more managerial. And I think if you change a manager and get someone better, I think that squad is better and can do a lot more damage. So I'm glad that we went up against this version of City in the title race. And I think, in my opinion, even if they get a couple of good results, I just don't think they have the quality to match us from here until the end of the season.
I don't overly disagree. I think it's a combination of things. I also feel that because they've had that kind of almost a big gap, and they've brought it back, and they've had the chance on a couple of occasions to overtake you, and it hasn't happened. To then be back at 9 points, sometimes it's a psychological side of things. There's only so many times you can take nearly making it, nearly getting ahead, nearly winning until it breaks you. And I feel that this game could be where Man City's resolve is broken. You know, mathematically they can still do it, because mathematically teams that are sitting like 12th could theoretically still win the league.
Yeah, mathematically United could win the league, but we know it's not happening.
But we know it isn't. We just know it isn't going to happen because we understand the game of football, and it's not always about maths. Ash, great review as always, mate, and we're going to chat again soon, brother. Top man. Thank you, bro. We're going to try Giuseppe to see if his mic's working. Hey,
is it working now?
It is working. It is working. Good to see you again. Didn't see you when you had 2 draws and a defeat. Didn't show up. Glad you're back now. You're winning.
I didn't show up for I think we got to the final. I didn't show up. We beat Chelsea. The team
that is true.
Beating.
That is true. How big a win was that, and how well do you feel Arsenal played today, mate?
Oh, I thought we were brilliant today. I thought because I thought they were really they come with a bit of bravery. Sunderland, obviously, that result they got against us earlier in the season, they thought maybe they could come do something. They were physical. They were like Saliba had a real hard time with it in the first half. Not a lot of people have said about that, but I thought he had a real tough time with Brobby in the first half.
Yeah.
But we come out, settled the nerves with that goal. Needed it before half time. Huge goal by Zubomendi. What a goal, by the way. What a goal. What a signing Zubomendi's been, by the way. Goes under the radar. And then from there, it was just all us. I thought in the second half they had the possession, but it was nothing possession again. But I think it's a huge result, because I think, you know what it is? Like, a lot of Arsenal fans after that Man United game got sucked into that rival chat. they got sucked into that. They weren't looking at, logically, they weren't looking at stuff, right? They were getting, oh no, we're going to bottle it. They hadn't seen circumstances. I think personally, the best thing that happened to us was losing that United game. I know that people might find that mad, but what Arteta said in his press conference after it, that he spoke to the players, they had a real meeting about it after the loss. They obviously said, do we want this league? And you've seen it since then. Bar that Caravat game where we completely rotated and it was such an easy game, nothing, dead rubber. We haven't conceded a goal in the league. We've scored about 7-8 goals. People ain't talking about us not scoring goals anymore. No set piece goals today. You know, it's just we look a bit rejuvenated. There is still nerves in the team. You can still see that. And listen, if any team that hasn't been there, done it, won it, got over the line, you're going to see that with. The reason City, you stopped seeing that with City is because they'd won so much. Every player in the team had done all the hard yards of that. And it's why this season, to me, don't really matter. People say about the nerves, that it don't matter as long as we get over the line, because then next season, the nerves will be gone, in my opinion. But today's game, I thought, was just what we needed. Gyokeres, 2 goals off the bench, brilliant goals as well, in the sense of just striker goals, the sort of goals we want him to see. They weren't like weldies or anything, but right place, right time. But apart from that, because everyone's going to talk about his goals, I thought the ball was sticking to him more today. I thought that you could see his confidence is there. He done a touch with his chest, brought it down, held the ball up, got everyone involved. There was another couple of times he done the same thing. You're starting to see the confidence grow in Gyokeres and starting to see the player he can be, because I think he's been harshly treated by us and by the media. I think he hasn't been great. Like, let's not get it twisted, but I think that people don't really want to give people time anymore. It's the game nowadays. It's the fans nowadays. That's fine. But yeah, I thought that was great for him. Just everyone. I'm really happy, because I think now City have real pressure tomorrow, and Liverpool need to win, because that Champions League spot's getting further away from them if they don't win tomorrow. So they need to win. They're at home. City and Pep have never won at Anfield, so there's so much pressure on them. And I just think that if they lose tomorrow, I do think it's probably cut and dry. Nothing's, never say never. Anyone can do anything. It will be the monumental biggest bottle job. I'll say that out now. If we don't win, if they go 9 points and we don't win the league now, it is the worst bottle job we've ever done, or anyone probably. But I disagree with what I think it was Anton said about the cup final, and he thinks it'll be easier if we run away with the league. I disagree. I think the cup final might actually be harder if we run away with the league, because I think that they'll go into that with like, we need to win this, there's more to lose. So I think that'll be tough. But regardless, we can beat them in the final, go and get that trophy. And listen, it's about, at this point, it's kind of the chat might have to be, how many trophies can we bring home? People saying the quadruple, I don't take none of that. That's not happening. No one's ever done it for a reason. There's been better teams, more dominant teams that haven't done it. There's a reason for that. But yeah, listen, today, brilliant. Kai Havertz back, brilliant. Looked still a bit rusty, still got to come, but then he got the assist for the second goal, huge goal. So yeah, listen, all I'll say to Arsenal fans is, till the end of the season, just bloody enjoy it. I've had arguments with my friends, because he goes, you can still bottle it, you can still bottle it. And I said, we're not bottling nothing, we're not bottling nothing. He goes, see what I mean about you Arsenal fans, you're not humble. I said, no, mate. But the thing is, what's the point of me watching this whole season with anxiety about maybe bottling the league, maybe not winning, maybe not getting over the line? And then when we do it, I'm all happy. And then I've had a year of anxiety and celebrations at the end. I'll enjoy it. And if it don't happen, I'll deal with them emotions then. Yeah, because all I would have done was give myself anxiety all season. And then if we didn't win it, I'd just be miserable anyway. And I wouldn't be more miserable than if I didn't think we were going to do it. I'd be miserable regardless. So what I'll say to Arsenal fans is just enjoy these games. Just enjoy the rest of the season. We lose a game, you lose a game. We lost to Man United. Man United have looked on fire. You've been quality since Carrick come in. We've only lost 3 games this season, for crying out loud. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's all I'll say to Arsenal fans is just watch these games, enjoy them, stop getting sucked in by the media and the rival fans, because they're getting sucked in, man. They really are. Even the set piece goals, have mates tell me, yeah, but we do score a lot of set piece. Who cares, mate? Who cares? Go and win the league. every goal, because it's funny because I had so many Chelsea mates saying to me, set piece FC, set piece goals. Even Don, arguments with Don when he says about chances created by Declan Rice. I said, how many corners does he assist? Corners, they don't count. But then when Palmer's scoring hat-tricks with 2 penalties, which I don't disagree with, that's a hat-trick, and that's a good hat-trick. But now set pieces are okay. So listen, rivals are bitter this season. Rivals are on their knees for Arsenal to capitulate this season. So Arsenal fans just need to just enjoy it. Trust me, because at the end of the season, when we win the league, I say when we win the league because I'm that confident. When we win the league, they'll think, oh man, I wish I'd enjoyed them games in the season more. Maybe they won't because they'll be so buzzing with one, but they'll think back and think, man, I had all that stress for no reason, wasted emotion and wasted mental fortitude or fatigue. But yeah, mate.
Yeah, listen, I understand a lot where you're coming from. I think that it's been a weird year for Arsenal because Ash is in one of our group chats having a pop. And I didn't say that about their goals. It's because they were 90. It was, you can't rely on Zubomendi's goals. It's not quite what I said. Yeah, I don't quite remember it verbatim. But all season there's been something. It was only a couple of weeks ago that Sky didn't lie, but they manipulated a stat where they said, Arsenal were the 17th lowest team for open play goals in the Prem. And I thought, oh, fucking hell, that's bad. I went, no, it can't be right. They weren't. They were 6th at the time, but only a couple of open play goals away from the top couple. But it's because they've scored so many set piece goals. They're so good at them. The percentage is one of the lowest, but they're actually one of the highest open play goal scorers. It's the way that stat can be manipulated. You could have 35 open play goals and be the highest in the league. But if you scored 35 set piece goals, you'd only have a 50% ratio, which would be the lowest ratio in the league. But it wouldn't fucking matter if you'd scored 70 goals at that point, right? And this has been happening all year, and I think it's bad for football. It's fun when rivals give each other a little bit of crap on a show in the comment section in a group chat. But when the mainstream media start pushing these things as facts, I think it's dangerous for our sport because no other sport does it. You do not sit there and watch the UFC and have the UFC manipulate and lie about stats to create agendas. It don't happen. It genuinely doesn't happen. I don't see it. I watch a lot of rugby union. You never see it happening. In football, it's almost like they take something. They did it to Pogba all those years ago, and it was the first time I noticed he walked around for 25 minutes of a game, and everyone went mental. And I felt like the only person sitting there going, can you just tell me what the average is? Because we don't know whether it's a good or a bad stat, do we? We don't know. And then it all turned out that 25 to 30 minutes of walking is about normal for most central midfield players every game. So therefore, ever since then, you've never seen that stat ever come up ever again because it was done to try and make someone look bad. And we do it in this game. And I just felt that, the set piece stuff, so many Man United fans are now being clipped up on socials and made to look like dicks because they're celebrating us scoring from set pieces. And then it's all the receipts. It's like, guys, you went too far. You're like a dickhead now. Do you know what I mean? Your girlfriend sees it, she's leaving you because you look like a fool. Just be a bit better. Be a bit better. Have some fun, but talk serious football. Giuseppe, go on, mate. Sorry, go on. Final point.
I was going to say, even for us, like certain Arsenal fans might forget. I don't forget. I remember everything from everyone for years with the likes of Mustafi and that. The way we defended set pieces and the amount of corners we conceded. All we heard was, well, Arsenal needs to be better at defending set pieces. Arsenal need to score more set pieces from the media. Arsenal this is the reason. Arsenal, they're brawlers. They're not strong enough in the box and that. And now look, the things changed. And now we've got people saying that we foul and it's all fouls, and that's the reason we manipulate.
I saw someone I know and respect. There was a footage from one of your corners where you got a block on the goalkeeper, and the words were, "This is disgusting." And I was sitting there laughing because we scored a goal ourselves from a corner from that the other day. And I remember their tweet going, "We're so good at set pieces. I love it." And I don't even look, but this is someone who's prominent, who works for TalkSport, who's out there talking to the public about football. There's one thing if it's United Trey, no face, bit of a troll. I get it. No one takes those people seriously. But someone who has a show that's listened to by millions of people on TalkSport, it can't be real. We can't make these real talking points. That for me is for children. That is CBBS, bro. Rubber duckies and bubble bath. You know what I mean? Yeah. Giuseppe, always a pleasure to talk, mate. We'll chat again soon. Thank you, bro. Take care, my man. Thank you. Up next, Mr. Negative is here. Brandon, what are you saying?
My striker. No. Don't be lying to the people, by the way, Tel. Yeah, I'm hearing Wolves your second favourite team. Man United's your second favourite team. Arsenal's your first. You know that. Come on.
True. Don't tell no one. Just keep it a secret. There's only about 50, 60,000 people that will watch this. Don't tell
I
no
think
one.
the secret's out, mate. I think the secret's out. But there you go. But yeah,
Break it down, bro.
come on after the Chelsea victory, and obviously I was very happy again today, Tal. Very happy again today. Can't ask for much more. I think what the boys have said about, you know, the Man United defeat being a blessing in disguise, I think could well be true, you know, because we have improved the way that we attack teams for sure. Defensively, we're always decent anyway, but you know the stats are kind of there to prove that we've kicked into gear a little bit more. You know, there's a bit more freedom with the attacking players. I think there's players that need to take huge respect for stepping up as well, and I'll name one or two. Zubomendi, we didn't bring him in for his goals, and he scored 6 in all competitions this season, 3 assists. That's not a bad return for him. That is not a bad return. And if you go and look at the quality of goals as well, they're all from out, like most of them are from outside the area. Most of them are like top quality finishes as well. And he took his chance again today. Really, I thought he was really good in the midfield. I think he was one of our standout players for sure, definitely. And I'm surprised nobody's really spoke about this, but I'm going to speak about it. And I probably would have got pelters for this a little while ago because I never rated the player. But Kai Havertz, let's talk about Kai Havertz, because I was desperate, Tel, for players that are on the fringes of this first team to step up when given the opportunity, right? And I was very frustrated that when these players were given the opportunity, they wasn't stepping up and producing. Since Kai Havertz has come back from injury, he has been nothing short of brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You can't ask any more of him, right? He's played six games, and people like the stats. So he's played 6 games, he scored 2 goals and created 3 assists. That's 5 goal contributions, and that's in all competitions. You cannot ask much more from the guy. And there's no coincidence as well for me that Gyokeres has improved, because Kai Havertz and Gyokeres seem to have that relationship on the pitch that Odegaard and Gyokeres don't have, that Eze and Gyokeres don't have. You know, Havertz is picking up the ball and his first thought is look for Gyokeres. You know, another assist for Gyokeres today. And that can only give Gyokeres more confidence, because now he's looking behind him and he's seeing a player who's playing in a more advanced role in midfield that's actually looking to play him the ball. Rather than, you know, with Odegaard, it's very sideways, very backwards, very out to Bukayo Saka. We know he's going to go that way, but he never really looks forward for the striker. Havertz has done that brilliantly since he came in, and I think he deserves huge credit. Huge credit. I don't think he was at his absolute best today, but again, he gets another assist and another goal contribution. So, you know, I think that's really helped as well. Mikel Arteta, well done, because he learnt from the first game. The first game, the mistake that he made was we went 2-1 up, and he thought we could see the game out because of our defensive stability, and we ended up conceding and drawing the game 2-2. Today, he learnt from that. We go a goal up, and you think that maybe he's going to sort of rest on his laurels as the game wears on, maybe bring on a few defensive players. No, throw a few attacking players on, go and win the game comfortably in the end, you know, a bit like we did against Leeds. So he has to take huge credit as well. But there's one thing that I need to bring up, and I need to bring it up, and I'm not saying it as a negative or not meant to be as a negative, but there's no coincidence to me that Arsenal were playing a lot better without Odegaard in the team. Odegaard, for me, hinders us so much in that midfield role. He really does. And if you look at the statistics as well, we talk about Zubomendi and the goals that he's scored. Well, look at the positions that he's picking up. He's able to go further forward, even though he's the more deep-lying player. And the positions that he's picking up and receiving the ball in to score some of these goals is the positions that predominantly Odegaard would occupy, right? And we seem to be a bit more free-flowing without Odegaard. If you look at the statistics again, with Odegaard was out injured for the first portion of the season, where he missed 11 games in all competitions. Arsenal only dropped points in 2 games, and that was Sunderland and Man City. That was it. The rest of the games we won, and Eze predominantly started them games. But what I'm trying to get at is when it comes to the way that we flow in an attacking sense going forward, to me, Odegaard hinders us more than what people think. And I think without him being in the team, we're able to play a bit more free flowing. I think Arteta even mentioned it himself in his press conference, because he was asked about Odegaard and why he dropped so deep to receive the ball. And Arteta actually said, that's not an instruction from me. I want him further up the pitch. So is it kind of like Odegaard's not doing his job that he's, supposed to be doing on the pitch? Or is it that Arteta's maybe telling 1 or 2 fibs and, sort of saying to him, come back and collect the ball? But that's not where you want your number 10 to be. And that's why I look at Havertz at the minute and what he's doing in that role. He's not coming deep. He's not trying to collect the ball. He's in and around the pocket where he needs to be. Rice and Zubomendi can do that job, which is what their job is. Feed him the ball, and the first thought in his mind is look for Gyokeres. And there's no coincidence to me why Arsenal are performing a lot better, Tel. That's all I'm going to say on it. So we'll see when Odegaard comes back.
Yeah, no, listen, I understand that. And I think you have looked better in the last few games. It's, sometimes correlation doesn't always equal causation. Let's see what you're like when you come back. But I actually think it is partly because he's not in the team, but I actually think it's to do with the way Kai Havertz and Gyokeres, especially when they've played in a lot of these games, have linked up together. There seems, sometimes this happens in football. It happened very famously in 98, 99. There was a feeling at Old Trafford, and there's a feeling with Andy Cole that he was going to be phased out the team. We didn't need 4 strikers. And actually, him and Dwight York just kind of clicked, and it wasn't really part of the plan, if that makes sense. Sometimes 2 players can just build a relationship and get on really well together. And I feel like that seems to be the case with those 2. And it's only its fledgling stages. But as you say, whether these things are by design or by accident, some will call it a negative. I just think it's, as you say, you're praising the team looking better. Themes these things happen organically, and there is something about those 2 together that just looks different. Those earlier balls in, which is what Gyokeres wasn't getting all year, and there's no doubt in my mind that since those early passes have started to come into him, you're scoring more goals. He's scoring more goals.
This is it. His confidence is through the roof now, because, like I say, he knows that he's going to make that run. Whereas earlier on in the season, right, he was making some really good runs, but nobody was passing him the ball. Nobody was looking for him. Nobody was trying to play him in behind. Nobody was trying to give it to him and do a give and go or allow him to hold the ball up. Now he's making them runs knowing that as soon as the ball reaches Havertz, he's looking for him. So it reached a point with Gyokeres where it looked very stale, because the runs that he was making, or should have been making, he was no longer making, because every time he did make that run, nobody would find him. Do you know what I mean? So now I see a confident Gyokeres. I see a guy who can score goals, regardless of what you think about whether he's a decent first touch, decent technical player or not. He scored 12 goals in all competitions. Getting used to a new league, getting used to a new way of playing, that's not a bad return either. And if we go on to win the league, he's contributed. And the thing that I would say about this is today was massive, definitely massive, because we had to win today to apply the pressure to Man City. I still don't quite think it's over, even if City do lose tomorrow. But I will say this. I think if we win our next 2 games and City lose tomorrow, I do see City dropping more points, because they've got Newcastle at home, which won't be an easy game. They've got Leeds away. They've got some tough fixtures still. We've got quite favourable. We've got Brentford on Thursday. We've got Wolves away. Yeah. We should win that. And Tottenham. Tottenham not good right now, and we always beat them as well. So I think if we can do that and extend our lead just that little bit further with 10 games to go, 11 games to go, I don't see him catching us, Tel. I've got to be honest. I really don't.
Listen, I think you could be absolutely right there. Brandon, always a pleasure to speak, mate. It's good to see you happy. And we'll chat again soon. Top man. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Viewers, make sure you're liking and subscribing. A few super chats for the panel. This is here. The agenda towards Odegaard is disgusting. He literally won us the hard games during the Christmas period. Look, I don't disagree with that. The idea he hasn't helped you get to this point, I do think would be a crazy conversation. But if you suddenly start to look better without him because there's a partnership that's developed, it's not disrespectful to say let's keep him out the team. There is a fundamental difference in those two things. The UFC did start standing grapplers up to make matches more exciting. Probably not the best example, but it is, because I'm not talking about changing the rules of a game to make it more exciting. I'm talking about the pundits lying to cause agendas. What you don't hear is Joe Rogan and DC on the comms say that's the right thing to do. They actually bemoan it. You see the difference there? Joe Rogan, DC, you also often get Bisping on the commentary on the UFC. When people are grappling and it's in a really interesting state where there isn't a lot going on if you don't understand grappling, and the referee goes and stands them up. Remember Mark Goddard doing it a few months ago. Those guys slam and condemn it because they know it's bad for the game. What we have at the moment in football is the producers of it's become like a reality show. Like, can we create a lie to talk about? How many times in the last couple of years have you seen Gary Neville do things where he says Bruno's asking to be subbed off when he didn't and things like that? It's fundamentally, you never see that in other sports as far as I can tell. It only seems to, maybe certain sports I don't watch. Oh, they could go 2-1 up here. Brentford should score. That's handball. It's going to be a red card and a penalty. It's got to be a red. Sorry, guys. I know the panel's coming in a minute. That looked deliberate to me. Oh, Newcastle, man. Kane. Ash. All right, boys. Go on, send him off, ref. Oh, why is it only a yellow? Oh, I'm disappointed. Gyokeres is going to make you apologize. I don't know who that's to. They're not me. Gyokeres and Kai Havertz attacking situation. Odegaard and Saka pass. Oh, it's not deliberate, so it'll probably... it was going in, though. So if it's going in, it has to be a pen, even if it's accident, isn't it? Because that's the rules. Remember, we learnt that in the Chelsea game a few weeks ago. Right, panel time now. We've got Igal, Mo, Seb, and a Winter Surfer joining us on the show. Mo is here, Gal's here, Seb's here, Andrew's here as well. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Just gents. I'm not allowed to assume. But thank you all very much for coming on. I appreciate it. We spoke a lot of Arsenal in the last half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm going to start with Andrew. A really big and important win today for yourselves to bounce back. Palmer getting a hattie as well.
Yeah. It was, listen, Wolves are one of the 4 teams you want to play after you have a bad result. It's either them, Tottenham, Forest or Palace in the league right now you want to play. They literally gave us the game, literally. The 2 penalties are penalties. I don't know why people dispute that. Pedro's literally, and what I don't get is why they gave that. Pedro's literally running away from the goal. It's not as if he's bearing down on goal. I mean, the second one's even more ridiculous because the guy literally pushes him like he's pushing your friend in a pool or something like that. But Palmer bags it. The third goal was a good goal. Nice. So it was good to see Palmer back. He needs to start putting in performances because he's not been good this season. I know he's been injured and he's managing the minutes, but the performance from him has not been good. And at the moment, I wouldn't take him to the World Cup because he's not good enough at the moment. So, but it was a good performance. Second half was literally washed out. They had a good first 10 minutes and then it was just controlling the game and we saw out the game. So it was a good response. We also now see Aston Villa doing their impression of Nottingham Forest from last season and dropping more points. So they're getting into a top 4 race and that's all good. And you know what, Terry, even Fulham lost today, which is even good news for us because they were bearing down on us as well. So, just hopefully that Liverpool drop points tomorrow and it was a very good weekend.
Yeah, now listen, I get where you're coming from. I think you were right to criticize some of Palmer's performances. I think people that have completely written him off and saying he was a bit of a Chesney Hawkes, a bit of a one hit wonder type thing. I felt like that was a little bit too far, if I'm being honest, and everything else. But yeah, the penalties were crazy because they didn't need to concede the penalties today, did they? They were especially the second penalty. It was arguably the most needless penalty. He's running into no danger and he just pushes him over, and I couldn't believe what I was watching.
No, and then Terry, did you see the goalkeeper thing in the second half as well when he caught the ball and then his foot went into Pedro and he was going down? And I was
Yeah.
thinking that could have been another
That
one.
could,
as well.
yeah, it was one of those days. It was one of
And
those
then-
days.
But then Neto missed Neto should have scored as well in the second half. He missed an absolute diving header. But yeah, it was a very good performance. João Pedro, I thought, was very good again today. I know he didn't score and anything like that, but he was very good today. And yeah, it was a very good performance. You know, overall, like you said, didn't need to go and exert ourselves because we're already 3-0 up. I mean, there's no point to exert ourselves. I would have liked to have scored more goals, but you know, I can understand that. We've got a match, quick turnaround at home at Leeds, and then we've also got Hull in the FA Cup on Friday, so I can understand why we didn't exert ourselves. So it's all good. It's good weekend. Put feet up, and hopefully Liverpool and Man City destroy each other tomorrow. You know.
No, I hear you on that completely. I do. And Newcastle 2-1 down. They actually just conceded exactly the same type of penalty that Chelsea got awarded a few weeks ago, where the ball's going in.
Why didn't
And
he get sent off?
because it's an accidental handball, but because the ball's going in.
The Palace player got sent off.
No, he didn't. He got booked.
No, he got sent off.
No, but he might have already been on a yellow card. Maybe he got. But he didn't. No, he didn't get straight.
Right, okay.
I don't think he got straight red. I think essentially what they're saying is because it's accidental. It's only it's.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
no, I think. Yeah, no, I think it's because it's accidental. You don't get a red card, but because it's going in, it has to be a penalty. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a red card if you didn't deliberately handball it. Come on, we've got to learn the rules here, people, before we talk football. What game did you watch, Mo?
Both.
How? Oh God, it's kicking ahead. How important was that win today for Arsenal, in your opinion, Mo, in terms of extending that league and putting that lead and putting that pressure upon City tomorrow?
Wins in the league. This is it, because it's not only about winning the game, it's the performance. It's the bench coming in to actually do the job. To be honest with you, it's you look at the bench of Arsenal and you kind of like what Piers Morgan said about the squad. I don't think it's the strongest squad, but it is the deepest squad. This is without Odegaard. This is without Saka playing. You know, it's not without Ben White playing, and he's able to bring these guys from the bench. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you look at how Gyokeres played with Martinelli up top when there is spaces. They kill everyone. Listen, even when they played Inter, when we like push everyone forward on the counter, they absolutely they're deadly as well. Which proves one thing, that in the Champions League, Arsenal have the strongest attack and the strongest defense. The reason why Arsenal don't score a lot of goals, because even at 1-0 up, Sunderland took it to them, but when Sunderland loses the ball, they don't leave players forward. They still go back. It's actually now I'm looking at this Arsenal team with Kai Havertz, who is forming a partnership with whoever plays. Is it Jesus? It doesn't matter. If it's Gyokeres, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? He's like I'm there I'm the second striker, and that reminds me of the Havertz of Bayer Leverkusen. The Havertz of Bayer Leverkusen was not the main striker. He was played off the left sometime, right, sometimes behind the forward. This is the best use of Kai Havertz. Not as a striker. I know that he scored a lot of goals, but look at Gyokeres with the spaces. That pass by Kai Havertz, it's very smart, to be honest with you. Martinelli off the bench in these circumstances is actually what you use Martinelli for. He might not be the starter for Arsenal. He is the guy that comes off the bench when teams open up because he's so quick and he fights and all this stuff. So he is the guy that is coming off the bench. Looks very, very good, actually, Martinelli. I'm looking at Saliba and Gabriel. They look strongest partnership. Timber now is turning into the steady guy on the pitch. Him and Zubomendi is like, you know what? You just put them on the pitch and you don't even have to worry about them. You don't have to give them instructions. They know exactly what to do in every single situation. And I have a shout before the other guys come in. Zubomendi has been the most consistent DM in the league since he come here. Maybe we talk about Caicedo being the best because of his ability and all the things that he can do. But to have a DM that contributes 5 goals in the league, apart from the mistake he did against Man United, which is a lot of people do mistakes. Caicedo do, like Rodri did before, Fernandinho did it. Everyone does. The most consistent DM currently in the league is Zubomendi. It's not only because he contributes goals. He's number one. When Odegaard is not there, he is the dictator of the game. He's the one who decides where the next play is going. That's why Mikel Arteta can afford to play a 2-striker formation like today. You got someone like Zubomendi playing, and you have the guy that is always an angle for his teammates. He dictates the tempo of the game. He can go quick. He can actually play long balls. He can play line breaking passes. He can shoot. He can do everything on the ball. He may not be the quickest guy on the pitch, but I think he's the most consistent DM out there. And he's been underrated actually now, because not a lot of people mention Zubomendi, how stable he is on the pitch. He's always available, doesn't get injured, can play 90 minutes comfortably, by the way, gives you a consistent, an 8 out of 10 every single game, and every now and then he's give you the 10 out of 10 like today. You know what I mean? That is someone for 50 million. I'm going to tell you something, Terry. I don't think there's a better signing for 50 million than him. To be honest with you, there's no better signing.
I wanted to put that out to Agal and Seb as well. Are we looking, Zubomendi here, at, you know, one of the best DMs, maybe the best DM in the league in terms of how he controls the games, the tempo, and the fact that he is anchoring the midfield of the best team in Europe right now? That must count for a lot.
Roger, sit down. Sure, when it comes to the World Cup, I'm telling you, Zubomendi is going to not only be starting for Arsenal, he's going to probably be starting for Spain. Rodri's not 100% fit right now. So I don't think it's out of the question to say he's the best Spanish DM right now. And he's been the signing of the summer for Arsenal. Probably one of the best bargain signings because we had the deal pre-agreed. And I think finally people are starting to come to the light that this Arsenal midfield, who some people at the beginning of the season said Liverpool's better than you. Newcastle people disrespected us and said Newcastle's better than you. People said Chelsea's midfield is better than you. Even myself, I got duped by Chelsea's midfield. I thought they were really good. But compared to how consistent my players perform on a regular basis, I have to say they are the best midfield because they consistently perform. And Declan Rice and Zubomendi as a partnership, I don't think you can find a better partnership this season. Declan Rice, for me, is a Ballon d'Or candidate, the way that he's been performing, how consistent he's been. And if Arsenal win the league and England win the World Cup, or Arsenal win the Champions League and England win the World Cup, he has a great candidation to be up there as one of the best. But yeah, bringing it back to Zubomendi, it was great to see him take a shot from outside the box also, because we need more players to take those shots. Today, you could see he took a shot from outside the box. Havertz took a shot from outside the box. Declan Rice took a shot from outside the box.
Had to go in, huh? It had to go in. That Rice one, it had to go in. To be honest,
no, the Havertz one. I thought the Havertz one was the one that had to go in because the whole other side of the net was wide open. The goal he couldn't get it on target. But overall performance, guys, the man of the match for me was not Zubomendi though. It was Victor Gyokeres. I don't know, Terry, if you want to move on or if you want to stay on this, but I thought Victor Gyokeres coming off the bench, the impact that he had. He is gaining form. You don't know.
We'll come on to the Gyokeres stuff. I just wanted to get Seb's take on the Zubomendi thing. We'll come back to that on the panel side of things. Because Zubomendi, I know he got a bit of stick, Seb, after the Man United game because of the mistake that he made. But overall this season, he's been great. And just another top display from him today.
Well, even the best players always make mistakes. But as Mo said, for the price, we obviously got him ahead of Liverpool as well. Imagine how good he'd be in that Liverpool midfield. But he's just been consistent, Mr. Consistent for us. Yeah, he's just Mr. Consistent. And it's just, taking those shots from distance, obviously done it earlier in the season. 3 of his goals have also come when it's been 0-0. So those goals have been vitally important for us as well. So it's just, you can rely on him heavily. Obviously against United, it was a bit of a weak back pass, but who cares? The thing for me is some players their confidence would drop off that, but he's just come back stronger after that. So, and him and Rice have a great partnership in midfield. Sometimes, obviously, Rice can drop deep and let Zubomendi go up the pitch. But what's crucial for us is, especially when last season, our progressive passes from the midfield weren't good enough. Whereas this year, his progressive passes from that middle of the pitch, he's very direct. He wants to go up forward. And he's been crucial. It's not a coincidence as well that I think we've already beaten our clean sheet record from last year already. And he's been crucial for that. Our defence has got a lot better because we have someone like him in front. I think he's been a vast improvement on Thomas Partey. The people that were coming out saying he's a drop-off from Thomas Partey, I don't know what games they were watching last year. I think Thomas Partey at certain points was a liability. The fouls he would give up as well. But he's so tidy on the ball. Even when you get that high press from the other teams, he's such a good safety net because he can retain the ball and play it off. So for me, he's probably been one of our best players this season. He's certainly been our most consistent player, and I think he's been an absolute bargain signing, especially considering we've got him over some bigger teams as well. Like Liverpool, let's be honest, are a bigger team than us, and we got him over them. And I think that was crucial. I've loved him since he's come in. He's been integral.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's been fantastic. I really, really do think that he's been an excellent signing for you. The other player I wanted to bring up, it's 2 goals for him today, and I'll go to Igal first on this. Victor Gyokeres, he started scoring. This relationship with Kai Havertz seems to be very, very fruitful for you in its early stages. But there was a lot of people writing this man off a few weeks ago. A lot of people talking about you shouldn't have bought him. Do you feel that he's starting to really find his feet now at Arsenal and in the Premier League?
Since the turn of the new year, definitely in the last 8 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. I was just looking at it in all competitions. That is what we're talking about. When we need someone to score goals, we can now look at Victor Gyokeres and say he's one of those guys. And I think another main part is obviously Kai Havertz, but people are not also speaking about Arteta's job in managing the 3 of them, Havertz, Gyokeres, Jesus. He's not burning out Gyokeres consistently, just making him start every single game. He's still mixing it up, so guys have fresh legs coming off the bench, making a difference. He's now come off the bench twice, made a difference. He also, we've now had two games back to back where strikers come off the bench and make a difference. He scored a goal in the last game. He scored a brace in this game. He's just constantly going to grow from here, and hopefully the players start finding him, because Havertz, the way that he's been linking up with him, Havertz has unlocked him. I remember people speaking about Paul Pogba getting unlocked a couple years ago. Literally, I'm going to have to take that phrase because it looks like Havertz is unlocking Victor Gyokeres, and Trossard finding Havertz in that middle space and Havertz just passing it off to him first time. He's actually getting shots off now where he's facing goal. Before, he was getting he had to receive the ball, turn, then shoot, or he'd have to then receive the ball, turn the player and shoot. And it's like he's actually getting the ball where he has a little bit more time to pull off his shots. Because I know we did not sign this guy for his first touch, guys. We did not sign him for amazing skills. We signed him for his final touch. And he has a good final touch. He can finish. It's just we need to give the ball to him in the right places. And I don't feel like we've been doing that. And in the last couple of games, you can tell there's a vested interest in trying to make sure he gets the ball in the right places. And I think anyone who was to write him off in the first couple of weeks, like Mo, you called the guy dog shit a couple of weeks ago when we did the stream. Eventually,
was he or was he not?
No, I think it was the circumstance. I don't think he was ever.
So was he or was he not then?
He was not performing to the level, but
that's it. So why are you calling him out?
Call him dog shit
because he was. What was he? Was he not?
No. But then he came to your yard.
Him improving. Okay, exactly. The point is, Igal, which is today when Gyokeres is getting the ball and he's getting fed, he will score. Like what happened in Sporting Lisbon. The way you played, actually putting him under pressure, not giving him enough ball, he didn't look good. You said that on your stream.
1 second. But you compared him. You compared him to Nunes and said he's dog shit. He's not of the level. He might not have been playing at that level.
Exactly
but you don't get to
referring to. So what is wrong with that?
You're basically saying this is damaged goods.
No, he was critiquing his performance at the time.
This performance. Listen, I don't like this. You know what the problem was? You know when football analysis. Okay, listen. You know when football analysis happened, every Arsenal fan was saying this guy is not giving us what they want. I tried so many times to analyze his performances and say that Arsenal are not crossing to him. He's not having the spaces to work. Today he had the spaces and he performed against Inter. It was literally mimicking his games against Sporting Lisbon. Space, the opposition is pressing, you have space. He's gonna perform. He's strong. You know when you went 1-0 up against today, all I can think of is like, this is Gyokeres' time. Why? Because Gabriel just couldn't handle the physicality of the 2 center backs of Sunderland, and I wanted Gyokeres to come early. And because Sunderland pushed players forward, now this is Gyokeres' time, and it was proven today. Are you going to play with spaces every game? Maybe not. But Terry mentioned something before you with Ashraf, because I was watching the Ashraf. He said, was it Ashraf or Giuseppe? He said that now Arsenal are finding him early. They're not waiting. They're not pushing teams back. They're finding him early, which is not happening for you in the beginning of the season.
Mo, I maybe you weren't one of the people writing him off, but there was a lot of people sitting there saying he came from the Portuguese league. This is Nunes 2.0, and they're ready to write him off. Now that he's on a little bit of form, I want people to see what he's actually capable of doing when he's getting the ball in the right service. And I do think it takes time for some players to adjust. We've seen it with greats across the league. We've seen it with multiple Arsenal legends, with Henry, Dennis Bergkamp. We've seen it with Chelsea, with Drogba. Sometimes it just takes players a little bit of time to adjust.
Can I say,
when they click, when they
yeah,
click, people's opinions will change.
I will change my opinion on Gyokeres fully if he adapts to the way Arsenal plays. When you actually, it's a 0-0 and you are pressing teams high and your players are finding him at that time. This game, he scored, yes, and scored very good goals. Once you're pressing teams and you're doing your build up and slow and you're finding him and he starts scoring goals, I'm going to change my opinion on him. This is not the game that I completely do what you do. I change my opinion on him completely this game. You know the 0-0s, when the teams are sitting back with 9-10 players and you need your striker to be in the box with presence and you need your forwards, your wingers to find him. This is where I changed my opinion on him. Not today. You know what I mean? Not today, Igal. It's not today. I'm not. You wanna do 180 degrees today when you had spaces, when he made the runs and all the stuff. I will change my opinion when he actually scores goals, when you are pushing everyone forward and there is a lot of players in the 18. This is why you wanted a striker, right? Because teams sit low blocks against you, right? Am I fair? Say that?
Mo, there's how many more Premier League games are there? 13, right?
12. Did they play? Did we play 25? Did you play 25? 25, so 13. Yes, you're right.
All right. So in those 13 games, he's currently on 8 Premier League goals. Say he finishes the season with 15 Premier League goals and 30
fantastic
30,
after the rough
30
start.
across all comps, for example, right? Something like that. Would you then say to yourself, we went too early. We went too early.
Yeah, I'll change my opinion 100%. See, I'm willing to change it. It's fine. It's not what you think. I'm not wrong and strong. If he adapts, right? Yeah, it's fine.
I was going to jump to Seb. What have you made of Gyokeres recently? Because, you know, as I was saying, some people I do think wrote him off early, and I don't know what it will take to change their minds. But what do you make of the recent improvements, Seb?
I think it was going to take some time for the Arsenal squad overall just to adapt to a proper number 9 up front. I think it is starting to click now. I think you were right a few weeks ago. What was last month? You said maybe Gyokeres needs to be dropped for a little bit, come off the bench, and I think it's worked wonders because when he is coming off the bench, especially the games in transition, Sunderland are going a bit more for it. There's a lot more space for him. And we're finding him a lot more. The players are getting used to playing with him because he's still making, even if you look at the runs he was making earlier in the season, he's still making very similar runs and similar running patterns he's always done. It's just the players are finding him a bit quicker. You know, even Martinelli's getting the ball in the box. I think weirdly with Saka not there, especially when you see a lot of our play go down the right hand side when he is playing, we're not doing that as much without him there. So it's kind of going more direct a lot of the time, which is good. You see when Havertz is coming in, I said on the Top 6 show, like a month ago, when I said Kai Havertz is back, I want to see him starting together. They're very different profiles of players. Everyone was saying, I can't wait for Havertz to come back and start straight up front. So what I said is so far coming to fruition. I'm very happy with my prediction on that one. But yeah, Kai Havertz is he picks up these spaces. And I think having both of them in the squad, Havertz draws defenders with him because when you do look at when Havertz is on the ball, you get 1 or 2 defenders trying to get the ball off him because he's very good at holding the ball. So it's creating more space for Gyokeres anyway because the defenders have got to think there's not just one person I've got to mark. Especially when you look earlier in the game when Jesus is on, when it's 2 physical defenders against Jesus, he's getting doubled up on, he's getting outmatched physically in the game. So when you do have Gyokeres and Havertz in there, it's a completely different thing for them to contend with. So I'm extremely happy with the way it's going at the moment. And for different games, you've got so many different profiles in the squad. It's a long season. Like even when the Ødegaard talk on, Ødegaard's going to be better in certain situations. Havertz will be good in certain situations, even Eze in there as well. So I'm more than happy with the way it's going at the moment. We've got so many different possibilities of way of playing, especially last year. You saw when teams started to figure out Arsenal because it was the same, because of how thin our squad was. We were having to play the same players. We're playing the same patterns of play. Whereas now we can play in so many different ways, which is great. But yeah, it was good that we didn't rest on our laurels. We brought more attacking players, killed the game off. And yeah, really, really happy. And yeah, really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Can I add something to what I said before I go? One of the things that I want to give credit today before I go is Mikel Arteta in the press conference when he said that he's going to play more attacking football and he promised people to be entertained. Now, can we put the agenda of boring Arsenal to the side now? Because now Rice taking shots, Zubomendi taking shots, Havertz taking shots. No. Just let me
Same
finish
amount of
this.
goals against
Now,
laughing,
and I
yeah.
just want to say something because now what Seb spot on, my man, spot on. Havertz's presence in that goal inside the 18 allowed Gyokeres at least to have a little bit of a yard or two to be able to go out and score that goal. And that's what Arteta promised people. Early crosses, Terry mentioned that in his monologue. Now we see Madueke, instead of going to the byline, cutting inside and crossing, Trossard going in, crossing as well. It's more attacking. It's not as boring as you guys want to say. Now Arteta has released the shackles and Arsenal look entertaining. I'm sitting the game and I'm like, this is very entertaining. Shots, passes in the 18, presence in the 18. Today, there was one play. Arsenal had 6 players inside the 18 when the cross came in. That is releasing the shackles. That is what Arteta was speaking about that early. So we need to put that agenda to the side now. A boring, worst team that will ever win the Premier League and all this bullshit that people talk about. But
I listen, Mo. I agree with you by and large on that. I feel, I hear you, bro. I agree with you, and I'm sure Seb does as well.
Absolutely.
A few super chats here. For our first goal today, 4 defenders surrounded him.
Who's he talking about?
He's an Arsenal fan, so he must.
Oh, okay.
I think he's talking about about that goal.
5 games today. What was he talking
Facts, Mo. He's been dog shit in the last few games. He's been decent, but still a fraud on fraud watch. It's also down to the rest of the team and how he's serviced. Partly akin. Well, let me ask you this akin though. Why talk about your own players in that way so regularly? Like, just it's like I heard Scholes say something this week, Sam. When you spend the amount of money we spent on a young goalkeeper like Lemaines, it's just instant proof he isn't elite. And I sort of agree to a certain extent, but the main thing I think is why randomly bring that up? Why even put that out there when there's, it's not even a talking point. It's like, why say it? I never understand that about your own team. I never get it.
That'd be like us if you take into inflation when we paid 7 million for Peter Cech and no one ever heard of him. You know what I mean?
Well, equally, exactly. No, exactly. You can. It might turn into it.
The equivalent you pay for Lemaines is probably what, with inflation, is what we paid for Peter Cech in 2004, and no one had ever heard of Peter Cech before.
And even if he doesn't end up being elite, right? I think most of us didn't even look at him as being the elite goalkeeper. He's certainly been an improvement on Bayern and Onana.
It's not even about being elite. It's about being confident. It's about your defenders being confident in the goalkeeper to begin with, which they didn't have in Onana, which is why they made mistakes. And I despise the way people disrespect the goalkeeper position so much nowadays. Like they think they can just put anyone in there. They are it's the top 2 position on the pitch. That's what it is.
So again here, I don't like how people flip flop, and I understand you on that.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about how you speak of your own players. Like, you talk about fraud watch and he's been dog shit, or I don't know, your words might not have been dog shit, it might have been something else, but it's what you implied. It's like I want to apologize to Ash on the show as well, because Ash is very frustrated at me because he's basically saying that he didn't say that Arsenal fans shouldn't celebrate the Zubomendi goals 4 games into the season, but essentially said they shouldn't be relied upon because 4 games into the season they were one of the lowest ranked teams for open play goals. So I slightly misquoted him. But what I will say, Ash, because I'll address this because you've done it in the group chat, is I believe that's what you're implying. What you're implying is don't get carried away. Don't be too happy with Zubomendi scoring. You've still got all these big problems, which is why the ongoing joke's been there all year. Every time Zubomendi scores, saying, do these goals count? Because that's essentially what you implied. And you were 4 games into the season. We were as a football, footballing fraternity. Looking at any club or team stats 3 or 4 games in, for me, was just overkill. And that's why I say it was warped. I do think it was a warped take. Again, it was a warped take if it was real. It was funny if it was a bit of banter. I'd love to know which it was. Were you just messing? Or did you really mean 4 games in, we should take all the goal scoring stats, possession stats? The reason why you should never do it 4 games into a season, because it depends on what 4 teams you've played. That's why people often say you should wait 10 to 15 games before you start judging teams fully, because you have to wait for a club to play a variety of teams, good teams and bad teams, home and away.
No, Liverpool won their first 5 games of the league this season. Now look at
well, yeah, exactly. But also look at Arsenal. So they actually had, on paper, going by Opta, one of the hardest starts of the season. yet we're like 7 or 8 for open play goals. The second half of the season, people have gone, oh, they'll probably win the league because it's easier. Now suddenly the open goal play, goals from open play are now starting to match all their contemporaries, and maybe will even surpass them. So then over the course of a 38-game season, it's going to be what we already thought. But if your first 3 games of the season are away at Man United, at home to Liverpool, and then away to Newcastle, and I'm making those fixtures up for an example, it's highly likely you're going to have a lower amount of open play goals than another top team who's opening 3 games of Burnley, Leeds, and Spurs. And I think that's why you've got to be careful of that. So, Ash, I do apologize for saying you said they can't rely on them or they're not real goals, or whatever it is I said. But for me, that's how I interpreted it. I interpreted it as you trying to be a party pooper, dampen their mood to say they're not real goals because Zubomendi doesn't score too often. That looked like handball from Brentford. But there we go. This guy just says own goals is a goal now, but Arsenal get grilled by own goals all the time by Chelsea fans. But look, okay, I think that was much earlier to Andrew Barnes. What I will say is Andrew Barnes didn't say that. So I get this on Excel. I don't know, you guys must get this too. I tweeted Man United's goal and what a great set piece. And I got a few replies from Gooners that were going, why do I get slagged off though? Well, but I don't slag them off, so why are you tweeting me? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't play those silly games because I just enjoy goals for goals win goals.
It's like when someone puts a blanket over a whole fan base and say, oh, I've heard a Chelsea fan say this. I want names. I want you people to start naming names of people, because otherwise I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to believe what you said.
Final question for you, Seb. Do you think if City lose tomorrow, the league's yours?
Yeah, we'll go with yes. I'll be confident. I usually go no, but yeah, why not? 9 points. They're not catching us on 9 points, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Viewers, like, share, and subscribe. This is going to redirect you to Mo and Hassam's channel, MHF, so go and support the boys over there. We might be releasing tonight. It depends on me and what I want to do when I flip the stream, but maybe fan channel review will be out tonight. Maybe it will be. I'll let you guys know a bit later. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in to the show. Congrats to Chelsea for their victory. Congrats to Arsenal on their win today. Of course, big up United for winning earlier on as well and beating the Spurs. That was very, 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 very nice.
Relegation.
Oh, that's a West Ham one as well. When I saw West Ham winning, the fact that Spurs fans are going to have to pray that West Ham don't beat us on Tuesday, because if Spurs lose and West Ham win, that'll be 3 points from the drop zone. That is crazy. That is mad.
Spurs against Millwall next season.
Listen, Spurs imagine that being in that stadium in the Championship. It'd be a thing of beauty, man.
Half empty, but just the Millwall end would be filled out.
It'd be brilliant. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we're going to see you all again very, very soon. Peace.